Okay, so today I want to give the definitive Oklahoma football preseason preview, complete with depth charts, some takes on Alex Grinch and Lincoln Riley. It's going to be a long one, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time, and today we are going to do the definitive preseason preview, ultimate, all the things that you want to know and all the questions that we have going into the 2019 season about Oklahoma Sooners football. We're going to get into both sides of the football. We're going to talk about Lincoln Riley's philosophy going into this year, where we all believe Jalen Hurts is going to be the starting quarterback, and Alex Grinch in year one, what needs to happen, how I think everything's going to stack up. I also want to tell you that they got this really cool bobblehead that I was just put on game with, that I just got myself, and I feel like there's been like 87 people who have contacted me via Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the YouTubes about, yo, where did you get that? Well, there's a link in the description below. This is the Kyler Murray bobblehead. I think it's awesome. It kind of sort of looks like Chance the Rapper, but that's okay. I got one. Maybe you'll get one too. I think it's kind of awesome. Now, to the footballs. Look, Lincoln Riley was asked straight up and with a straight face, yo, I expect that you're going to give something taken back, right? The offense is going to take a step back with Jalen Hurts quarterback, to which Lincoln Riley kind of straightened his tie and said, no, I don't think the offense is going to take a step back. And I'm going, all right, Lincoln, have that BDE if that's what you want to do, because, you know, a lot of people thought that Kyler Murray was going to take a step back after the seasons that Baker Mayfield had, having won the Heisman, and all Kyler Murray did was go number one in the last NFL draft and win the Heisman Trophy. So you've got back-to-back number one overall picks, back-to-back Heisman winners. We should know better than to doubt you, and yet, yo, man, your quarterback is your quarterback, all right? We saw the dude at Alabama, and maybe there's something you could fix, and there was something that you could fix with Kyler Murray that we just don't see, but the statistics don't lie. The analysis doesn't lie. The analytics don't lie. That dude cannot throw to his left, okay? He's mediocre throwing intermediate passes to his left. He's bad throwing shallow passes to his left. And he's really bad throwing deep passes to his left. And your best playmaker on the offense side of the ball lines up on the left side of the field and plays wide receiver. We're going to get into that. But I think his philosophy is going to look a lot like Oklahoma in 2015 when Baker Mayfield took the reins and everybody's looking at him kind of struggling against Tennessee and going, don't you dare put Trevor Knight back in there at quarterback. Don't you dare do it. And he stuck with Baker Mayfield, and they worked it out. They were able to run the ball. They were able to do a lot more play action. You're going to see, I think, some bigger sets. Going to get a lot of Lee Morris this year, a lot of Grant Calcaterra this more, probably a lot of Braden Willis, so that you can get Jalen Hurts some easier throws, and you can take advantage of his ability to flat out run against defenses. Like, that dude really does like to get between the tackles, and he can truck some people. He's actually put linebackers on the sideline and had them sit down for a little while and say, I need a breather. Now, the other part about that is if you stack the box against Jalen Hurts, you can take his ability to run out of it, and you can make him complete passes. And that's where Bill Bedenbaugh is going to have to do a job with this offensive line once again. If anybody can get it done, it's Bill Bedenbaugh. But I really think that this is going to test Lincoln Riley in some different ways, especially after he went up to Fellowship Church in late July and was asked, yo, who in the Big 12 scares you? And I think most people expected him to say like Texas or maybe TCU's defense. And he says, you know, I get this question a lot. And I come back to sometimes you think you should be politically correct, and other times you think you should tell the truth. And last night, Thursday night, when this happened, he said, I think I'm going to tell the truth. None of them scare Lincoln Riley. Okay, Lincoln Riley, be on your Muhammad Ali, because they're all coming for you. They want you on a wall. They want to mount this program. You want 4 straight Big 12 titles. You're the favorite to win a 5th. Everybody expects you to compete and make the college football playoff. After you do that, we'll see. But that means you got to run the gauntlet once again, which is the Big 12 round robin, for which they are all proud to say you got to play everybody in this league. And it hurts the league when we're talking about nationally, we're talking about rankings, because you just can't have 4 top 10 teams come out of this league because they're all going to beat up on each other by the end of the year. Somebody's going to have more losses than they should, or at least more losses than they might have if they played in the SEC, where they don't have to play the same sort of round robin schedule. But all that to say, Lincoln Riley's got a good test coming out the front door with Houston. Dana Holgorsen knows them well. De'Aaron King's going to be coming back. We expect that Houston offense to be good. We expect the Houston defense to be trash. But that's going to be leading to a good thing for Alex Grinch. See how I segued into that? Now, there's some things that I want to get talked about on the channel, just that we got and are on the same page when we talk about Alex Grinch, as I've spent who knows how many words talking about this dude since he got the job, even before he got the job in January as the new defensive coordinator at Oklahoma. Now, there's a couple things, like 10 things actually, that I think you ought to know about Alex Grinch before we get into more of the positional values of some of what he does, and also just how I think guys are going to line up in his scheme. The first one is he got his undergrad basically in coaching. His quote is, "Really, the only thing I've ever wanted to do is coach football." And at Mount Union, where he went to college, you kind of get your undergrad in coaching because you see such an elite way of doing things. Maybe there's a naivete that you gain because you're winning all the time. It's like if you work hard, you prepare, you give respect to your opponent, and you play hard, you'll just win every week. Obviously, once you get into coaching, you realize very quickly that it isn't necessarily like anywhere else. And that's true at Mount Union, because when he played for Larry Karras. And Larry Karras is one of the best college football coaches of all time. And his coaching tree is stupid. So is the Mount Union coaching tree, if we're getting really into it. Because we can really go all the way back to Don Capers, but we can also talk about not just Alex Grinch, but Matt Campbell and Jason Candle and Nick Sirianni, who is the offensive coordinator at Indianapolis. And while people are looking at Indianapolis going, yo, they started the season 1-5 last year. Yeah, they also ended at 10-2. Okay, so they're going to be pretty good. And all those dudes can coach, and all those dudes know football. And Oklahoma's really lucky to get a guy like Alex Grinch, who feels like he has the antidote for how to stop routinely Big 12 offenses. The only other dude that gets to say that he does that on a regular basis, Scary Patterson. Now, I'm prepared to give John Heacock at Iowa State his claps, but look, TCU came into this league, was not cowed by it defensively. If Gary Patterson ever gets a quarterback, they could be something else entirely. Look, the second thing I want you to know about Alex Grinch is he started one season at safety at his high school, Grove City in Ohio. Now, when he got to Mount Union, he was one of 22 or more safeties on his first day of practice at Mount Union, because they don't do the whole scholarship thing. So he was really having to fight for his job with everybody else. And this is a guy, by all accounts, who is not really as talented as many others, notably Matt Campbell, who was transferring in from Pitt and was an All-American. Look, the fourth thing I want you to know is Alex Grinch's coaching method and recruiting pitch is run your knuckles in concrete, and then that's how you learn, right? Because that's how he learned to do it from Mount Union and Larry Karras. He says, when I'd recruit a guy, sometimes I'd say, if you took your knuckles and rubbed them on the sidewalk, it'd be uncomfortable. Even a little bit abrasive if you rubbed hard enough. That's Larry Karras, right? He's saying doing what you're supposed to do in football is like that. But if you want to be good and a good football player and a good football team, some of that discomfort is required of you. Think it over before you pick us. Yo, is that not the message that Alex Grinch is giving to everybody? Saying, look, it's going to be hard. It's going to suck. I don't have any guys on my defense right now I feel like can play in the NFL, so you can come out here and you can play right away if you're willing to do it my way. And I think that's what's going to be interesting to see if all these guys take to is Alex Grinch's my way or the highway philosophy, which is not unlike Mike Stoops in some ways, but it's about not what you say, but how you say it. And the way that he's saying it, we're going to see how that plays out against Houston. Fifth thing I want you to know. At Mount Union, Grinch was part of a 54 and 55 game winning streak that are the two longest in college football history. The Division I record is Oklahoma with 47 straight in the 50s under Bud Wilkinson. So Alex Grinch came from a college program that not only was used to winning, but he was a part of that program when all they did was win. And for him to go to other places, like, say, Missouri, and go to Washington State and say, no, I expect us to win because I win. That's what we do. And that's me. I'm here for that. I'm always going, no, the standard is winning. The standard is getting W's. The standard is not, did you play well? Did you play hard? No. What does the scoreboard say? Because the record is you. You are your record. I dig that. Sixth thing I want you to know. Matt Campbell called Grinch the defense's playmaker while they were in college, saying, look, between him and Campbell and Candle, right, guy at Toledo right now, yeah, those teammates that were All-American defensive end. Candle was a standout wide receiver. This is Matt Campbell's quote. It was football in its purest form. It became a place where guys really had an unbelievable passion for the sport of football. Alex had a great defensive backs coach at the time, a guy whose name I refuse to try to pronounce. I say that, look. Jeff Wojtowicz. I can spell it W-O-J-T-O-W-I-C-Z. Good luck with that. And we always said that Alex was the greatest version of him on the field. When we needed to make a play the most, Alex was the guy who could come up with a big play for our defense. I talked to Matt Campbell at length about Alex Grinch at Big 12 Media Days. He was nothing but complimentary. Wanted to talk more about them being friends than football, and I understand that. These are two guys that hold their values and the way that they actually want to run a football team very close to the vest. It's really difficult to pry those guys open and get them to talk about how their strategy works, and I can come to respect that if it works. It's worked for Matt Campbell. We'll see if it works for Alex Grinch. Seventh thing I want you to know is Alex Grinch comes from a bust-butt football background. Jason Candle, who was an assistant at Mount Union from 02 to 08 after playing, remembers that one of his first days as an assistant, Karras wrote at the top of a dry erase board, "Coaching is teaching. Teaching is the ability to inspire learning." Think about that. I want to inspire you to want to learn to do this. And that's what every coach will tell you, right? But not every coach is really good at doing it. And I find that there's coaches that know their fundamentals, that know footwork, that know hand placement, and there's coaches that bark. Everybody can bark. Does everybody know football? Seems Alex Grinch knows football because Larry Karras knows football, Jason Candle knows football, Matt Campbell knows football, and you know what? Alex Grinch is pretty good at Washington State, all right? Look, the eighth thing I want you to know is this quote coming from Candle. There was something that was always stuck in my head. It puts some perspective that just because you have a hat and a whistle and a pen doesn't mean anything if you're not a teacher. Our responsibility is to teach these young people life lessons and ultimately help them achieve their goals through rock-solid work ethic and sound fundamental principles. That's cool. Ninth thing, this quote, coming from Matt Campbell again. Be the best where your feet are. Don't try to always play for the future. That's what makes Alex really special. It's sometimes hard to find that standard in our profession today. But I think often about how we were really fortunate to have a mentor like Coach Karras who demanded that and instilled that into who we are and what we're about. I believe in that firmly. Be happy where your feet are. Like people would ask me, yo, do you want to get a radio show? I'd be like, no, I'm very happy to do my channel. This is fun. This is a good time. And then a radio show came to my doorstep. The animal said, hey, do you want to do this? I said, yes, I would love to do that. And I'm happy doing that. Be happy where your feet are. Work hard where you are. Don't look to the future. Just make this work. Make this home. And I think that matters. I think if Alex Grinch starts to look toward the future about what he wants his football program to look like, instead of fixing the OU defense, he's going to get busted out and fired. And we know that the coaching tree goes up and down. It does not stay stagnant. You either get fired and demoted back to position coach, or you get elevated to head coach. That's how this works. 10th thing I want you to know, just on that 2000 Mount Union championship team, the Raiders had two current Division I head coaches, Matt Campbell and Jason Candle, who we talked about. And I've said Nick Sirianni and then Grinch. That's ridiculous. So you got two head coaches and two coordinators, one at the NFL level, one at Oklahoma. That's big time if you're Larry Karras. 11th thing is Larry Karras believes Alex Grinch is next when we're talking about head coaches. He's the next one. Pretty soon, he's not going to be somebody else's assistant coach. This is his quote. Some AD is going to recognize his talent and skill, and I think he'll get a chance. Look, I think the last thing that Larry Karras put on was you'll see improvement at OU. It's coming. I think all those things are really important to keep in mind as we continue to talk about what OU's defense is going to look like, what values that we think Grinch is imparting onto the defense, and how he is choosing to teach them to play his style, which we've called a 3-4, but looks more like a 3-3-5 the way I look at it. It's going to have four men on the line of scrimmage, but the personnel is going to look more like a 3-3-5. We'll get into that. But I want to go with the offensive line, defensive line. We'll work from there. But these are the things that I wanted you to know. How am I doing on time? All right, cool. That's not bad. Okay, so at the offensive line, which is literally throwing darts unless your name is Bill Bedenbaugh outside of one, Creed Humphrey. We know that Creed Humphrey is the best offensive lineman that Oklahoma possesses today, and there was a really good discussion about whether or not he's the best offensive lineman Oklahoma had last year, and that's a really big deal, seeing as all four of the other eligible guys that started next to him were drafted in the second, third, or fourth round of last year's NFL draft. That is big time, and there's lots of folks that think Creed Humphrey could be one of those interior linemen that is selected in the first round of the upcoming NFL draft if he just plays anything like he did the last 2 years. Now, behind him, you got a depth problem. And that's the thing about this offensive line. You got a depth problem at center more than you got a depth problem anywhere else, because behind him, you're talking about Clayton Woods, who is a redshirt senior, who snapped the ball when Creed Humphrey was hurt to Jalen Hurts during the spring game. And then EJ Ndoma-Ogar coming in this summer, who I think is going to be a stud. He's already turning heads with his feats of strength. But I think if Creed got hurt, you're going to have to go to Clayton Woods, not EJ. And you might even have to throw Tyrese Robinson in there. And we'll get to him in a second. But at left guard, I think you're going to have RJ Proctor, grad transfer from Virginia, as your starter. I like RJ Proctor. Got to talk to him. That video's on the channel where I interviewed him about why he picked and committed to Oklahoma. He's coming in knowing that he needs to lead. He's coming in knowing what they desire from him. He can play every position on the line, but we know that he played left guard at Virginia. That's where he was comfortable. He was their best offensive lineman out there. I expect him to be the guy who is more or less like a vice captain on that offensive line, helping Creed get some leadership duties under control, and also be the guy that everybody's looking to who's looking at Creed. That's a big deal to have a guy like that on your offensive line to support your most talented offensive lineman. Behind him, I'm going with Marquise Hayes because I think that that's the next guy up, unless that guy is Tyrese Robinson. But Marquise Hayes has the physical build and the feet to play that left guard position and come out flying. I also think that Tyrese Robinson is going to be your starting right guard. And I think that Tyrese Robinson is your second best or second most talented interior lineman behind Creed Humphrey, and that would be the guy I expect to take over snapping the football if Creed got hurt, if he broke his hand, if whatever would happen. And I know that everybody's knocking on a piece of wood right now, but my mind doesn't think in best case scenarios. My mind thinks in Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. If you don't have a contingency plan or a backup plan, you don't have a plan. That's where I come from. So Tyrese Robinson at right guard, starting the best of times. At center, I think if Creed Humphrey's hurt. Behind him, I got Michael Thompson. I think Michael Thompson has the feet and the hands to play inside because he was a defensive tackle. I mean, yeah, he was recruited at offensive line, but dude obviously wanted to play defensive tackle. That's where his mind was. And moving him over, you got another big body, 6'4", 330, that can move around. I know that he played some tackle, but I also think that you would be wasting him out there because I don't think his length is going to give you anything. I do think that he can actually get up and out of his stance. He can get to the second level. And more than that, he knows what a defensive tackle wants to do. So why not take advantage of that in the way that we do when we say quarterback, go play linebacker or safety. You know what they want to do in this instance. You know where the ball's going to go. Let's use your mind. Let's let you freestyle back there or up front saying, no, I know how to pin this guy against the wall because I know what I would want to do in this position. I think Michael Thompson will be a really great backup at right guard and possibly be the kind of guy that could compete for a job this time next year. Then over at right tackle, I got Adrian Ely. I know we're going to have two dudes at tackle that nobody knows what they're going to do. Nobody knows how they're going to turn out. But Adrian Ely looks ready-made for the position. He also looks like a guy who has done more than wait his turn. If Bill Bedenbaugh sticks to what we think he does, which is play the older guys because they kind of earn it, it'll be Adrian Ely. And then behind him, I got Dario Simpson, David Swaby, and Stacey Wilkins. I think Stacey Wilkins is just going to take the redshirt year. That dude's got to put on a lot of weight. Swaby, JUCO transfer, guy that you could depend on. And then Dario Simpson, perhaps the second most talented of the younger guys that still hasn't got any run yet, but I'm really interested to see what and how he figures in. I got right now at right tackle. Then at left tackle, Eric Swinton coming out the gate because I think he's the more experienced guy. He's got more years in. Also, he kind of doesn't necessarily think he's going to be a lockdown guy, but we didn't think that about Cody Ford. We didn't think Cody Ford was going to be your best right tackle. He ended up being the best player according to the NFL because he was taken the 38th pick in the draft, just slid out of the first round, and that was a guy that had never played the position before. Now, I think behind Eric Swinton, and the guy that I think is really an oar rather than a backup, is Bray Walker. Bray Walker's just that dude. Matter of fact, at the same thing where Lincoln Riley said he wasn't scared of the Big 12, he said he was scared of Bray Walker. That was the guy he wouldn't want in a mixed martial arts fight. 6'8", like 340, and he was a wrestling champ, not unlike Creed. That dude's got all the ability in the world, and after redshirting last year, I really do believe that that guy's going to push for a starting job, either at left tackle or right tackle. I got him at left tackle because I think that's where you put the more talented, longer, athletic dude, but I could easily see him just fitting in wherever he needs to go. I mean, he played some guard in the spring game. I know he's not a guard. He's a left tackle or right tackle. He's a tackle, offensive tackle. But I really think that by the middle of the season, we're going to see Bray Walker starting more games, and we're going to see less of Eric Swinton. Now, on the defensive line, I got Neville Gallimore as your starting defensive tackle for reasons that everybody already acknowledges. Most talented guy on the defensive line. We need him to have a big year. He's a redshirt senior. This ought to be his defense and his year. Behind him, we got Marquise Overton and Troy James. Now, because Grinch is going to run 4 men on the line of scrimmage on the defensive line, but only has 3 dudes with their hands on the ground, this is how I think it's going to go down. You're going to have 2 defensive tackles, 1 defensive end, 1 rush end. So The second defensive tackle, I think starting Dylan Fonmatau, who's done enough to show you that he has all the power and the speed and the agility to play position. But, dude, you picked up like 3 defensive holding penalties last year. You can't do that anymore. You got to be more mature. You have to understand where you are. You have to understand down and distance. And you're going to have to be better in this 1-gap scheme where you're playing a 2-gap scheme. Now you get to do what you do best, which is split people and go kill a quarterback, go kill a running back, and make it really difficult to operate in an opponent's backfield for them. Now behind him, I got Zacchaeus McKinney and then Marcus Hicks. Marcus Hicks is the most talented person on the defense, full stop. From an athletic standpoint, there is not a more talented person on the defense. Let that settle. Now, why would I say that? Because track and football has this really cool index called the Player Athletic Index, where they use track and field data to measure football athleticism, right? At the top end is like a 5.0. That's Adrian Peterson. That's Julio Jones. The guy with the highest number of the entire OU football team is Marcus friggin' Hicks. This dude was a state champ in wrestling, had like 1 loss all of last year, was suplexing dudes that were 40 pounds heavier than him, was making them look foolish, went out there and performed in discus, and all the throws, actually, discus, shot, he was good. And his dad, Kelvin, is awesome. But more than that, I think Marcus Hicks is going to learn to play inside, interior. He's already rocking around at 270 when he got onto campus. Expect him to get a little bit bigger. And knowing that Grinch wants his defensive tackles around 295, I don't think it's that big a stretch to think that Marcus Hicks could be that guy. But I also got him starting further down the depth chart just because he's a true freshman. Probably want a red shirt, and we'll see. Now, at defensive end, Ronnie Perkins is the dude. Ronnie Perkins has been chirping. Good. I like chirping. I like chirping in public. It means you are expecting great things for yourself. It means that you want the pressure to perform. Well, Ronnie, now's the time. Strong side defensive end. I got starting over captain Kenneth Mann, right? I mean, you're going to 2-platoon in. So starting on the defensive line doesn't mean a whole lot, but you still want to count starts versus non-starts. And I think Kenneth Mann is going to push Ronnie Perkins, and I think they're going to push each other, and those are going to be your 2 dudes rotating the most. But behind him, I got Corey Roberson, and of course, Isaiah Thomas out of my alma mater, Tulsa Memorial. Isaiah's just got to show me some stuff for me to move him up the depth chart. I don't necessarily feel bad about that. If anything, I feel bad about Kenneth Mann behind Ronnie Perkins, but I like it as an or. Also, I'd be fine starting either one of those guys at strong side defensive end. It would just work for me. At Russian, you got so many dudes. You got Mark Jackson, who I know Pro Football Focus has a love affair with, but I've seen Mark Jackson play. I know he's a liability in space. But in this scheme, all he's really got to do is cover the flat and go kill a quarterback. Now, I know he's responsible for curl, and I know he's going to have to run with the occasional fullback, running back, even tight end, but the job is to be the edge rusher. Get out there in a 4'9" and go kill somebody. The Eric Stryker role, all right? This is the most fun position on the field, period. This would be the position that I most want to play. This is the star position. This is why I think you got so many bodies here and you got so many tweeners that are running in it. So, Mark Jackson behind him, but that's only because I don't know if Jalen Redmond's going to be completely healthy. Anybody you talk to about Jalen Redmond is going to tell you that is pure talent. That dude just can play football, especially not having much experience, having played the game before. But the blood clot thing is real. And I'm surprised that he's even cleared to play football, honestly, because, that's not something to play with. I mean, we're talking about a life and death situation here, and the slightest thing gets him pulled. Okay, no more football for you. And that's why I got him second. I don't even know that I would give him that many reps if I was defensive coordinator or defensive line coach, because I want to give those reps to guys I know can play. And I understand that they're trying to do right by Jalen Redmond, but you also need to do right by the football team. And you got so many dudes that play this position. Jalen Redmond's going to have to be healthy. He's going to have to show that he performs, and then he's not going to have to give up anything. Otherwise, that'll be all she wrote for Jalen Redmond. Behind him, I got Joseph Wette, long, lean, athletic, put on some weight. Same dude behind him, David Ugwebu. Both of those guys are mirrors to me. I think that they're both ridiculous coming off the edge. I think they got great length. I think they're great athletes. I also think they're true freshmen, right? We're going to do some growing up. And then behind them, Nick Benito and John Michael Terry. I thought John Michael Terry was going to be pretty good inside linebacker when he got to Oklahoma, and that just hasn't panned out. He asked to move over to Jack. Jack's become rush in. We'll see where he fits. Nick Benito, same difference. That was an All-American. That guy played an underarm All-American game, and all of a sudden, we haven't heard word one from him. Maybe both of those guys can get in front of the freshmen, but I've seen more from the freshmen until the freshmen prove that I'm wrong, or Benito and Terry prove that I'm wrong. That's my depth chart. So that's what defensive line looks like for me. Now let's get to some skill positions, all right? Running back, I think it's fairly obvious with, fight me, but I got Kennedy Brooks as the starter. Okay. Trey Sermon as the second. I mean, you can call them co-starters. You can call them or. That's probably what they'll look like in the official depth chart when that comes out in like a month. My God, just update the depth charts already. Like, this is stupid. All right, so you got behind him Ramondre Stevenson. I think because Ramondre is a JUCO transfer and he's bigger than everybody chasing him. And he's just as fast as TJ Pledger, which is why I got TJ Pledger behind him. I know you're All-American. I know you went to IMG, but Ramondre Stevenson is a monster. He's humongous. Like, he might be bigger than Samaje. Okay, we'll get to see that up close. But perhaps TJ Pledger's put on some weight. Maybe he's a sturdier runner, less of a scat back out of the backfield. That means that you run more between the tackles. But the dude that might fight everybody on all of this is Marcus Major, who J.D. Runnels dubbed the closest thing to Adrian Peterson that he's ever seen. Cool. I'm all for a Millwood kid holding up for Adrian Peterson, but my God, you better be lights out. And he might be. 215 pounds, about 6 feet tall, can flat out fly, might drop 4.4 in the 40. Still a true freshman. There are lots of guys in front of him, and they're all really good. But one thing we learned from the 2018 season, you can never have enough running backs. Started out with Duke 5, like the same problem, just depth. And then Rodney Anderson went down. That was one, okay? Then you lost Trey Sermon to an ankle injury off and on. Then you lost Marcellus Sutton to a broken leg. Then TJ Pledger picked up the hip injury, and all of a sudden Kennedy Brooks was the only dude left standing. So it's kind of a wash because by October, running back situation is going to look a whole lot different because the odds of all of them being healthy is just a battering ram of a position. It's low, right? So that's what I think it is right now. Then at fullback, I got Braden Willis ahead of Jeremiah Hall and then Kobe Tillman. I think Braden Willis he's won Lincoln Riley over, all right? There's nothing that Lincoln loves more than a football mind for offense. And this dude played quarterback coming out of high school, was being recruited at tight end, played some tight end last year, looked good doing it. They asked him, can you put on 20 pounds? He put on 20 pounds. They moved him to fullback. So now you get somebody that he actually can trust to do that multi-back stuff that Demetri Flowers was doing. Not to say Carson Meyer wasn't good, but he wasn't Demetri Flowers. That's no shade. That's just what it is. And if you can get more of that, you have somebody else that can help Jalen Hurts, all right? You can do more things. You can give more outs. You can be more pass-oriented because you really want balance, but balance is only going to be good if you can throw the football, all right? If people know that you're going to run it on rundowns and you ain't very good at running the ball, you need to be able to have something in your back pocket with a dude flaring out when nobody's used to seeing him flare out, right? Braden Willis is that guy. He understands blocking. He understands pass catching. He understands quarterback play. He knows how to do the offense. And that's what you're asking the H-back, the fullback, to do in a Lincoln Riley offense. That's why I got him ahead of Jeremiah Hall, because Jeremiah Hall should have beat out Carson Meyer. Couldn't do that. We'll see what happens with Jeremiah Hall. Okay, so at X, CeeDee. Really? We're going to argue about that? I don't think so. Behind him, I got Theo Weiss, Jayden Hazelwood, and A.D. Miller. That's a strong group. All right? Theo Weiss, for me, is the most ready-made pro of any of the true freshmen. I feel comfortable saying that guy has the tools to play in the NFL today. It's about developing a bit more size and just going up against better competition to prove that he's still the guy that he was down at Allen, who was just legit awesome. Jayden Hazelwood, we'll wait and see. I think that Theo's a better prospect, but that ain't to say that Jayden Hazelwood wasn't, the number one wide receiver in a class according to 247. He's still plenty good. And then A.D. Miller coming back after wanting to go to the portal, coming out of the portal. I always wanted A.D. to be good, but now it seems like he's going to be an afterthought. Still, it's a nice dude to have on your depth chart. Nice guy to have going up against the defense when we're talking about size, because that's a good look. He's going to give you a good look. And then I got at H, Nick Basquin. Behind him, Trajan Bridges with an asterisk. We'll get into that a bit. And then Miguel Jones and, of course, Drake Stoops, right? You're going to be deep at H. I also think that you're going to have the ability to move around some guys. You're not going to see a whole lot of H because you're going to see more Y, because you're going to be bigger, and they rarely run 5 guys out there at the same time. They rarely run 4 wide at the same time. I mean, you're going to see 2 backs when you can see 2 backs. You're probably going to see more of a fullback, probably going to see more tight end concepts. The H is going to be nice, but I don't think it's going to be a focal point of the offense. Still, it's really nice to have Nick Basquin back, and I want him to do well. The Y position, I got Lee Morris ahead of Grant Calcaterra. I think Lee Morris is the most talented tight end at Oklahoma. And the flex tight end position has been really, really fun at Oklahoma. As a matter of fact, it goes Lee Morris, Grant Calcaterra, and Austin Stogner. That's what I got. I think it's Lee Morris, Grant Calcaterra, and Austin Stogner because Austin Stogner is a true freshman. That dude has a frame on him, and he can move around. That was actually the really cool thing to see out of a lot of those guys. And even CeeDee Lamb was saying, hey, man, Austin moves way better than I thought he would move for a guy his size. He's enormous. That's a dude that you really love having in the program. You think can develop into a low-key star at Oklahoma. Could be the next Mark Andrews. But right now, Lee Morris has got to just shut y'all up because some of y'all are still in love with Grant Calcaterra. It's no shade to Grant. It's just when Lee caught a touchdown, he caught a touchdown. Like when he caught a pass, touchdown. That's what it was. He was Lee TD. He was beast mode the whole time. He was that good. They had to give him a scholarship in the middle of the season because he was that good. What do you want? You know, that's the thing. I get the Grant Calcaterra can still be good. I get the Grant Calcaterra is both on the Mackey Award and the Biletnikoff watch list. But you know what? It's like 50 dudes long. He's going to be there. I just also think that enough media have not seen Lee Morris. That's the thing about these watch lists. As a guy who has or is on a selection committee, Jim Thorpe Award selection committee, for those of you that don't know, a lot of it is just who did people see. And if you saw a dude up close, you're more likely to fight for him being on a list, and you're more likely to bring it to the rest of the committee, be like, hey, can we pull up this guy's film real quick? Because I think he's really good. And then it'd be like, oh, yeah, okay, cool, I see it. Throw him on the list. And I think that's a big part of it. Now, at the Z position, which is the Hollywood Brown position opposite CeeDee Lamb, I got Charleston Rambo, Jaquaylin Crawford, and then Bridges in parentheses because I think Trajan showed enough in the spring game to where you're going to want to use him somehow, some way. Not to say that he's going to start at H or Z, but I think you're going to see him on the field more than you're going to see any other true freshman on the offense. I believe that. That dude's just, he's got it, all right? He knows where the ball is. He knows how to fight for the ball. He's not 6'3", but neither am I. And I don't doubt myself against none of y'all. I think that Trajan Bridges is that good. And he's going to work his way onto the field. Jaquaylin Crawford might be the second fastest guy on the field, other than Trey Brown. If Trey Brown's on the field too, returning kicks, that's going to be fun. I think both of those guys are going to have an opportunity to run one back if there's ever an opportunity to run one back because kickoff is what kickoff is now. Of course, at quarterback, I already went through that. Hurts, Mordecai, Schaefer, Rattler. Rattler because you want to get the redshirt year. Schaefer is ahead of him because you don't have to, preserve him. And then Mordecai because he's a better quarterback than Schaefer. Yes, I know you'll fight me on the spring game, but you know what? Whatever you want to do. At Mike, I got Kenneth Murray Jr., I got Levi Draper, I got Brian Asamoah, and Jonathan Perkins. At Will, I got Deshaun White, Brian Meade, Ryan Jones, and then, Caleb Kelly and his busted knee. Look, I like the pairing of Kenneth Murray Jr. and Deshaun White, Mike and Will. I like that. I think it's good. I think Kenneth Murray Jr. is going to thrive in this system because Brian Odom is in his ear and he's listening to everything that man has to say. Alex Grinch is in his ear and he's listening to everything that man has to say. And no matter how you slice it up, 155 tackles last year, that's a lot. Okay? Dude's on a Butkus Award watch list for a reason. And I think, yes, Deshaun White is the most instinctual linebacker of any of the linebackers on the entire depth chart. But Kenneth Murray Jr. is your second best athlete behind Marcus Hicks, and he'll probably be your best athlete on the field. And this is a position that he would just learn into play. And he seemed to just learn what he was supposed to be doing last year. This junior year, this is his magic year. He might not have the same amount of tackles, but you're going to see him get in the backfield, shoot the gaps, absolutely take advantage of this scheme, and I'm really looking forward to it. Deshaun White, instinctual, is going to be able to fill in where Murray is not. Probably going to be able to get in each other's ear going, do you see what I see? And Deshaun White could say, no, I see this. And Kenneth Murray be like, okay, cool. I think that partnership will work. I also like the idea of Levi Draper and Brian Meade to platoon it. Having the two kids from Collinsville and Owasso go in there to just shake things up and go kill people. Yes, Lord. Wash me in that. I would love nothing more than to see some Tulsa Metro kids go tear it up at middle linebacker. That would be awesome. And then behind them, it's a crapshoot. Asamoah and Jones obviously paired, and then Perkins as the holdover. Now, secondary, we got a little bit of a different problem. All right. Full disclosure here. If it was up to me, Buki starting at right corner, Trey Brown starting at left corner. Put the short dudes out there against the tall dudes because short dudes are undefeated against y'all. We don't care about none of y'all. We will tear y'all a new behind. Tall dudes, they never got to fight nobody because people just walk up to him and be like, he's tall, I don't want none of him. Short dudes get picked on all the time. You know what a short dude doesn't do? Back down. We can't wait to fight y'all. And give me the junkyard dogs out there, corner, because they're going to get picked on. People going to throw balls at you out here in the Big 12. Colin Johnson's lining up out there. TJ Vash's lining up out there. Denzel Mims lining up out there. I don't care. Give me the two dudes with speed that want to play corner, that are absolutely corners, that are your best corners. The problem I have with Oklahoma right now at this moment, Buki is not playing corner. He was a 5-star corner, and everybody's pissy because he got torched at nickel, and not even half the time. The man took out an entire tight end by himself, launched himself. Look, I understand that he's versatile and that he was the dude that said, cool, I'm strong enough to play nickel. I'll play nickel without any leverage, without any help. You're going to match me up against David Sills in the slot and watch me get torched because De'Aaron Turner-Yell can't get over the top. That's all on y'all, all right? I say move the man to corner, okay? But as the depth chart stands, Buki probably going to play nickel. Behind him, I got Jeremiah Cradell, the true freshman from modern day, and then Pat Fields with an asterisk. Don't get twisted about Pat Fields with the asterisk, but I would love to see somebody else out there like Justin Broyles at nickel, perhaps, and Buki move to corner, but you know what? I don't get paid $1.1 million to coach defense. Alex Grinch does. Strong safety, the only guy that I have starting as a true freshman, Jamal Morris. That I talked to that dude at length. I got to know him. He's got the leadership mentality. He was out there making plays in the spring game. He gets it. He's already got the size. He can come in and play. Behind him, I got De'Aaron Turner-Yell, Chance Sylvia, and Jordan Parker. I know some of y'all love DTY. I know some of y'all love Jordan Parker. Chance Sylvia's coming off the Achilles. I think this is just Jamal Morris' job to lose his strong safety. At free safety, Pat Fields, all right? And then Robert Barnes, and then Justin Broyles, okay? Justin Broyles is a nickel, sorta. I looked at him, he's a corner coming in. Let the dude play corner. You know, same thing with Jordan Parker. Let the dude play corner. You got a lot of corners. I also think that Miguel Edwards could fit in at nickel and or corner, but I got him at corner, all right? At left corner, probably going to start Harnell Motley. Behind him, I got Woody Washington and then Trey Norwood. Washington could easily beat out Parnell Motley for a spot. He's that good. Lots of folks in Tennessee love his game. I love his game. I got to know him. Really cool kid. He understands it. He wants the pressure of playing corner in the Big 12. That's big to me because you got to want the pressure. And then, you know, we'll see what Trey Norwood turns up being. At right corner, Trey Brown, of course. Then behind him, I got Miguel Edwards and Jaden Davis. Jaden Davis could easily jump in front of Miguel Edwards because he's coming out of St. Thomas Aquinas. He's well coached. He understands. He's also a dude that was being recruited to play a little bit of nickel when Kerry Cooks is here. And he's used to playing with knowing where his leverage is, knowing where his help is as a nickel. And that's a big part of playing that position. All right. I'm not going to waste anybody's time as a specialist. I will say that I get that you think it's a big deal to lose Austin Stibert, but it was a big deal to lose Michael Honeycutt. You know, I'm sure Reeves is going to do a good job at punting. I would go for 2. I don't really believe in the kicking game like that. I think if you're inside the red zone, you ought to go for it because the worst thing that can happen is you turn the ball over inside the opponent's own 20 and you got him pinned against the wall. I actually like that as a problem if I'm a defensive coordinator. Cool. I get to pin my ears back and I get to go try to get safeties. Let me do that. That is how I see everything shaking out heading into preseason. Questions about getting ready for Houston we're going to address at a later date, but that's what I wanted to do today. What do we do here? 38 minutes and counting. I think I'm going to edit that down just a little bit, but I think solid, right? Solid. All right. Again, check out the Kyler Murray bobblehead. I think it's cool. I will see you tomorrow. Deuces.